Hello again, Aries. Thank you so much for joining me. So as always, before we get started, we're going to take a look at your oracle cards. And this week, Aries, from Lay Vampire, you pulled Creator, Catalyst, Maker, Mother, Father. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Vanity. Now, Creator from Lay Vampire very much reminds me of the Empress. This is giving birth to new creative ideas. It's saying that your creative spirit is in play right now, and that what you're bringing forth is going to create new responsibilities and opportunities for you. But when you look at that with Vanity, that's where the worry starts to come in. Vanity from Chakra Wisdom is talking about living in the space of the material. Bigger, better, more is what's going to bring you happiness. And we all know that that's not true. The other thing is, if you're sharing your creations with the world, you have to be careful about seeking validation from others who are more conditioned to look at the material rather than the spiritual. And it's not that the people that are around you are bad people. It's just that that is the way that they're conditioned. Don't do things because you are seeking validation from other people, especially if they're more concerned with the material, because what you're bringing forth here is very spiritual. All right, Aries, here we go. Here's the energy coming through, the Four of Pentacles. Yeah. So, again, there's this feeling here where the Four of Pentacles is like maintaining the status quo, right? It's not wanting to give up the things that you have worked so hard for. It's like this need to no, it's mine, right? Some of you may be feeling stuck in a situation. You may be hanging on to something a little bit too tightly here. It's suggesting with the Four of Pentacles that there is some financial gain. You start to see that financial stability, but there is fear in, you losing it. But immediately for me, it's you hanging on to something of importance to you, not wanting to share, and certainly not wanting to lose anything. Now, in the past, the Ten of Cups, and I would want to hang on to that too. The Ten of Cups as the past coming through is speaking about happiness, domestic bliss, emotional fulfillment. And I'm just looking at the two and you wanting to maintain that, especially coming out of your last reading, where you go from this emotional pain to, I have happiness, I'm going to hang on to it, and I'm going to make the most of it. And in the present, the Five of Pentacles, and there it is. It's no wonder why there's this feeling of the Four of Pentacles. If some of you are feeling some financial strain right now, it's understandable that you are wanting to hang on to what you have. Looking at it with the Ten of Cups, for some of you, your home life may be affected, or your happiness may be being affected by the material. I kind of get the sense here that maybe some of you have made some bad financial decisions. The Five of Pentacles, though, the important thing to remember there is that you are responsible for what you create in your life, and you also have the ability here to get yourself out of these situations. And I think with the Four of Pentacles, I think looking at financial strain and seeing the Four of Pentacles as the overall here, it's really talking about you getting a hold of these situations so that there isn't these financial difficulties, especially if they're affecting the happiness within the home. Future conditions, and there you are, the King of Wands. So yeah, you get to a spot here where some of you may be feeling some financial strain. And then the other part of it too is, where when you're talking about the people in your life, there's almost this feeling here with the Ten of Cups as the past coming through, and then seeing the Five of Pentacles that maybe some of you were pushed out of happy situations. But seeing the King of Wands as future conditions is perfect. It's perfect. There is enthusiasm here, but there is also wisdom. The King of Wands is very adventurous. But the other thing here too, and I think this is important, especially when it comes to Aries, when you're in the creative process, it's important for you to stick with it. The King of Wands has a tendency to get bored with details, and he kind of leaves those things up to the Queen, right? You don't want to lose interest in the things that you're doing. If you're gaining wisdom out of, difficult situations with the Five of Pentacles, you want to stick with it. And I think the Four of Pentacles is suggesting that you do that. And if some of you are just dealing with, things just not working out well, it's going to be through a shift in your own energy that things start to change. Now, on the other hand, some of you may be dealing with another fire sign. But I really see this as where you come out of difficult situations with a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more passion and enthusiasm, and making the most of what you have. There's a feeling here that, you're wanting to hang on to these things so you don't experience these difficulties right now. But I think for some of you in the present moment, you're making a shift from having happiness to great, that's great and all, but financially, there's some difficulties here. Now, on the other hand, for some of you, you may be feeling like you're being pushed out by other people. And again, it goes back to vanity. It's not that these are bad people. It's just that their view is a little bit different than I think what yours is. Especially for the Aries that are watching tarot readings, of course you're coming from a spiritual place and not the material. And, I think some of you are separating yourselves from that. And there's like a different energy here surrounding you where you start tapping into that enthusiasm, that excitement, that adventure, having some passion in your life. But again, you got to stick to what you start. You can't get bored with details and then not finish projects. Your best path to follow, the Eight of Pentacles. And there it is, putting in some work. But, I'm looking at this and it's like Spirit is telling you again that there's a need to stick to the things that you're doing, especially if you're gaining wisdom out of financial difficulties. The other part here too is that when you start putting forth the effort, that is where the financial stability is going to start coming back through again. If some of you are losing a job, you're going to get a new position here where it's going to start off, I feel like, kind of slow with the Four of Pentacles. But if you put in the effort, and you start busting your ass, you're going to see the results. All right, the Eight of Pentacles is always that working your ass off. But the other thing here too, when you're looking at that and you're looking at Creator, it really is suggesting that what you're doing, you're happy with, and you're showing off your skills, and you're putting them to good use. So, for some of you, if you're feeling some financial strain right now, it's going to be through, the efforts that you put through. That's going to make the difference when it comes to your financial stability. But it's like you're trying to maintain both here. It's like for some of you, your work and your finances are affecting the happiness within the home. But where you come out at is great. It's great. It's just, again, there's that message there. If you start something, you got to stick to it. You got to see it finish through. Especially if what you're wanting to do is create some financial stability. In your environment, the Two of Swords. So having to make difficult decisions, and they may be difficult financial decisions. And looking at this way, the Two of Swords too also talks about guarding yourself emotionally. That's why you see the little heart showing up, right? If you're feeling financial strain, you have to be careful about it affecting you emotionally when it comes to your own happiness. But seeing this in your environment is really suggesting that some of you are maybe not quite seeing what, the best action is to take here when it comes to financial difficulties. You're going to have to make some difficult decisions. You're going to have to act on them and really put forth the effort here if you're wanting to see change. But, again, it's just saying that right now, I think some of you are facing some difficulties, but it's going to start changing. But again, it's going to be through your own efforts here. Your hopes and your fears. And there it is. The King of Pentacles. Some of you are really in a creative spot right now. It's just, I think for some of you, if you're looking to start doing something, that you're really putting forth the effort in, it's like you're not seeing a way to bring it out just yet. It's like you're having difficulties here and seeing how can I bring forth these creative ideas and make the most of it, right? So it's like the spiritual and the material are playing a part here in the things that you're doing. When you look at the King of Pentacles as your hopes and your fears, again, it is the pinnacle of success. He is the pinnacle of success. This is where wisdom starts to come into play here too. But it's practical. And again, there's a need here for you to stick to what you do. If you're doing something that you have a passion for, when you put forth that effort here, you will start to see results, especially with the King of Pentacles there. I think maybe some of you are just facing some financial difficulties, seeing all these pentacles coming up and looking at the 5. Things aren't quite working out well right now. Some of you are having a hard time seeing where there's going to be any kind of a gain here. But what you're doing with the 8 of Pentacles being here says that it has some importance, especially with the King of Wands. You know, there's passion here. You're doing something that you have a passion for. You're showing off your talents. But it's like you're having difficulty in seeing how, you know, to make the most of it. For those of you who are dealing with some financial difficulties, you're going to start seeing some success, definitely, with the King of Pentacles there. But again, there's that, the big theme here seems to be, first of all, don't worry about what other people think. The other thing, too, is you have to stick to what you're doing here. Don't get bored with it and don't walk away because, you know, again, 2 kings in a reading, success. And here is, you know, the king of success, right? You have the ability to create financial success in your life, but it's going to be through your own actions. Some of you may be having difficulty seeing it right now. And for some of you, you may be doing something right now that you're not happy with, and maybe there needs to be a change. Especially with the 10 of Cups coming through, because, you know, that's happiness. It's happiness, being happy with what you're doing. That is creating stability and financial security in your life. But seeing him here is good. It's good. Because if you continue to hope for this through the efforts that you're putting through, that is what you will manifest. But I do think that you guys have a passion for what you're doing here. It's just that you're having a difficult time seeing how it will benefit you. And not just financially, but spiritually as well. Oh, look at it. Look at it. And the outcome, the Page of Cups, that is really nice, Aries. I love it. The Page of Cups is new emotional experiences, but it's also that card of the imagination. There is creativeness here. It's the start of creativity, right? It's funny because when I see the Page of Cups, I always think of SpongeBob going, use your imagination, right? But it is fantastic to see as the outcome. It's saying that you will see clearly what you need to do to make the most out of what you are doing creatively. It's like starting that new creative process, getting away from the things that you're doing that aren't bringing you happiness. Maybe some of you need to, you know, you might have to continue the 9 to 5 for a little bit. But if you start working on what you have a passion for and start bringing forth those creative ideas, you will start seeing success. I like it, Aries. It's different. This is a different reading for some of you. I feel like, you know, your creative spirit is starting to come out here. There is a look at, you know, the material as well. But, you know, I think with vanity showing up, it's just telling you that what you're creating and bringing out in the world is so much more than material. But there is definitely an opportunity here for you to gain success and financial stability through your creative efforts and what you start bringing out into the world. Now, on the other hand, seeing the Page of Cups, again, this has to do with messages of love, new emotional experiences, the start of new love in your life, rebonding, or the strengthening of relationships, you know. And looking at it like this, for some of you, it's like, I almost feel like once you start seeing past these difficulties and really start putting forth the effort in your creative ideas, there's going to be like a strengthening of happiness in your own life, whether it's with your relationships or just your own emotional happiness. But beautiful. It's beautiful. And seeing the Page of Cups is fantastic. Fantastic. I couldn't have hoped for a better outcome on this. But again, Aries, stick to what you're doing. Don't give up on it. If you have creative ideas, bring them out. Start showing off your skills and your talents and make the most of them. When I look at this, inner voice immediately speaks to me about you getting in touch with your creative nature. and starting to pay attention to that inner voice that's saying that, you know, hey, we don't have to continue doing things that are just, you know, putting us in positions where we feel financial strain, right? Like, we can do something else here. And that's where new path emerging is coming in. And again, the Page of Cups, something new, doing something new that's going to bring you happiness and freedom. Here's the thing. If you guys are doing something on the creative side, it has the potential to bring some financial security into your life. And you are going to feel that sense of freedom where you are not underneath somebody else's thumb here. You know, for some of you, this may be talking about you starting to do something like self-employment, doing something on the creative end that is what's going to bring you happiness. It's going to create new opportunities for you, and you're going to feel a sense of freedom. But there's an importance here to listen to your inner voice, especially if you're having difficulties trying to see how to bring it forth, right? But beautiful, beautiful, Aries. Passion and romantic feelings. Wow, passion. Allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. Romantic feelings. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. For some of you who are single and meeting somebody new, there is passion. There is passion, right? New emotional experiences and a need for you to act on your romantic feelings. Beautiful, Aries, beautiful. Free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. And this is speaking to what is going on with you financially. I'm telling you. I don't see this as you needing to free yourself from a harmful relationship. It may be the case for some of you. But when I look at this in terms of this reading, and you're looking at maybe facing some difficulties in a relationship, you have to free yourself from the things that are not making you happy and start acting on the things that are going to bring you freedom and happiness. But overall, Aries, beautiful reading. I would definitely absorb that energy of the Page of Cups and start listening to that inner voice and bring out your creative nature. Because I feel like for some of you, what you bring forth is going to be important to the world. Okay, Aries, so this reading very much has a part of the spiritual and the material going on here. I think for some of you, you need to be careful about seeking validation if you are bringing your creative side out into the world and showing off your talents here, because I really think this reading is centered around not so much the 9 to 5, but what you're doing that you have a passion for and that makes you happy. It's just that I think for some of you, you're not seeing the success that you expected from it. There's this feeling here where, especially with the Page of Cups coming out, I think some of you are going to get some new creative ideas. And it's going to add to what you're doing here, and it's going to start creating some success for you. It's just right now, I think it's hard for you to see what you can do that's going to make it more, that's going to bring in more. But I feel like what you're doing is very much on a spiritual side. It just so happens that you're able to make money doing it, which is fantastic. And it's going to create this sense of freedom. New path emerging, I really feel like that has to do with the Page of Cups. You're going to get some new creative inspiration with what you're already doing, which is going to kick things into gear for you, where you won't see like, I don't understand, I'm putting so much into this, but I'm not seeing the return. Things will start to change, especially with the Four of Pentacles here. And then seeing the King of Pentacles, wisdom in financial matters as well. But I feel like some of you may be seeking advice from somebody who may know how to turn your creative ideas into something that is going to bring you some money. And I think it's great. But as far as your creative inspiration goes, when you're looking at what you're doing here, it's important to pay attention to the inner voice. Your intuition is going to guide you into new creative ideas that can potentially bring you some amazing success with this. Now, when you look at free yourself, for those of you who are in a relationship, I don't really see this having to do with you needing to free yourself from a harmful relationship. It's more of needing to free yourself from not being able to see the right actions to take to get yourself out of this feeling of, you know, not having enough, and then feeling like you have to maintain what it is that you have. I really don't see this as a bad relationship. It may be the case for some of you, but I'm really looking at your creative ideas are more important right now than the relationship, and there's a need here to get rid of that block. It's like, you know, if you give yourself some time to connect with your partner, it may help, you know, that get that inspiration coming out of you. But I don't see it as a bad thing. I just think that your focus right now is on what you are doing that is creating some money for you. But, you know, again, the big thing here too is don't give up. Don't give up on what you're doing. You may not be seeing the results that you want right now, but I think it has some amazing potential. Now, for those of you who are single, passion and romantic feelings, this is fantastic. If some of you are meeting somebody new or just starting a relationship, act on these feelings. But overall, Aries, I love this reading. I think some of you are doing something that you should be showing off, because you're really pulling on some spiritual creative inspiration here.